Hello, my name is Angela D'Antonio, and I am the West Coast Curriculum Specialist for Moving Beyond the Page. I personally first came to this curriculum for my two daughters over 6 years ago. I firmly believed that education was not simply the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. I wanted my girls to have a love of learning and an understanding that learning is a critical part of everyday life. Education for far too long has been throwing facts at children and hoping they will stick. Lecturing at children, whether in a classroom or online, has been ineffective. Too often, children regurgitate information onto a test and then immediately forget those facts. Even in homeschooling, we often find ourselves doing school in the home, using the same dry textbooks, tests, and worksheets. We need to do better than that. True learning is the act of taking in and making meaning of new information. This means that children must acquire knowledge and then figure out how to apply it in different situations and real-world applications. Learners must move beyond memorization towards understanding, application, and competence. This is called active or constructivist learning. You aren't just reading a textbook or a lecture, but applying what is being learned, experimenting with ideas, and forming new ways of thinking. What does this mean in a practical sense? This means on any given day, my girls will be reading a story about Helen Keller, making a 3D model of an ear, learning about sound waves and pitch and how they apply to voices and instruments, or making their own instrument. Let's talk more about how Moving Beyond the Page goes about doing this. These are some of the strategies that we use. Many hands-on activities are presented to engage learners who need a kinesthetic approach, because there's something about engaging children on a physical level that improves retention. Creative thinking activities help motivate students to bring their own ideas and products to the table. Critical thinking skills taught throughout the curriculum help students learn how to think independently. The internet is used throughout the curriculum while teaching children how to evaluate sources. The internet is used as a tool and not the entire source of their knowledge. Engaging projects allow students to demonstrate their knowledge and understanding in a fun way. Projects work on so many different levels. Finishing a worksheet is not a motivational goal. Developing a game that you can play later with your family could be. What is the value of a project-based curriculum? To answer this, it is important to look at the purpose of a project-based curriculum and also to look at the most common alternative. The purpose of a project-based curriculum is to demonstrate mastery of a topic while reinforcing the learning through the real-world application. The most common alternative to demonstrating mastery is a test or a grade. In study after study, grades have been shown to be detrimental to learning. 3 things happen with grades. Children lose interest in learning, they avoid tasks that are challenging, and they are less likely to think critically. There was a study done where students were given identical assignments. Some were told that they would be graded, and others were not. The children that were told they were being graded had less interest in the topic. They were less likely to work on it in their own time. They tended to choose easier and more familiar topics, and they did not introduce as many new ideas. Grades communicate to children that success matters more than learning. Children cannot get away from tests their whole lives, and we do include unit tests beginning in our age 8 to 10 level. It is important that they know how to prepare for and take a test. The projects, however, are the primary method for evaluating a student's mastery of a topic. Projects also prepare children for the real world that they will encounter after they finish their education. Most of us have jobs that are project-based instead of grade-based. The unit shown is from the age 8 to 10 Rocks and Minerals unit. For the final project, the student is asked to pretend that they are a member of a team of paleontologists and geologists on an archaeological dig. The student can then choose to write a letter to their family with details of the dig or create a PowerPoint presentation for their colleagues at home. Project-based and hands-on can be challenging to implement, so we provide the materials needed within our kits. This is a list of all of the materials supplied for one 3-week science unit. Another way we engage children in learning is by integrating the subjects. This practice takes advantage of a little trick. Students can learn the intellectual content in social studies or science, and then it becomes real through story. Dry and boring content can become emotionally resonant. For example, while your student is learning about World Wars I and II, they will also be reading Number the Stars, a story about a young girl in Denmark during World War II. Moving Beyond the Page is the only comprehensive curriculum that integrates science, social studies, and language arts from kindergarten through middle school. When you study weather, you will look at how geography affects weather. You look at different regions of the country and how the weather is different. Then you read a novel that shows the effect of the weather on a family. In the science unit, you also learn related skills like reading a thermometer, building an anemometer, and other tools to measure weather. In the age 8 to 10 unit on Asia and Africa, students can learn about geography and the culture while reading stories about a young character from that region. Moving Beyond the Page is the only comprehensive curriculum that accounts for the different strengths and learning styles of each student. In fact, you can use the same curriculum with 2 students, and they will have options for completing activities that allow each individual to utilize their strengths and preferences. There are very few programs on the market that take learning preferences into account. We know that the theory of multiple intelligences can be controversial, but we feel that the more senses and variety of activities you add to the learning process, the more a child will internalize the learning. Literary analysis can be challenging for a left-brained concrete learner. Here is a way to take a story analysis and do it in a concrete and sequential way. This is actually something we do for all of our literature units. We take one of the story elements, plot, character, setting, conflict, point of view, etc., and we ask students to track these elements as they go through a story. We use the strengths from a story to highlight how these are done well. That way, students can become great writers by knowing what great writing is. This experiment in our age 10 to 12 matter unit allows kids to identify mystery elements by finding their characteristics. There are a variety of recipes found throughout our curriculum. The recipes are sometimes from periods in our history. There are medieval recipes, ancient Roman recipes, Depression-era recipes, and Civil War-era recipes, to name a few. Other recipes are from different cultures studied throughout the curriculum, such as those from Mexico, China, Korea, Morocco, India, Argentina, Britain, Spain, Portugal, Italy, or the Caribbean. These are often my favorite part. What could be worse for a creative learner than a list of dates? We use color-coded timeline cards with great visuals that children paste on a timeline. Now they can see what was happening in the Americas and Africa while the Chinese were inventing the abacus. This is the final project for our age 9 to 11 poetry unit. The student is asked to set up a poetry tea time event, complete with food, drinks, seating, and an audience. This is a great project for auditory learners and those with interpersonal strengths. And occasionally, our curriculum allows students to choose their intelligence. These think-tac-toe activities allow students to pick several mini projects to complete their 3-week unit. Before you choose a level for your student, you will want to use our online placement assessments. They are found on our website under Choosing an Age Level. It is important to match the curriculum to the individual student. We want learning to feel natural and fun. If the level is too advanced, it can become a struggle for the parent and the student. And we want students to feel successful. The first assessment has a reading section, a reading comprehension section, and a short written assignment. There are rubrics for evaluating the work and guidelines for placement included. This sample is from the age 8 to 10 level. All assessments are similar, but leveled appropriately. Please note that reading and writing ability are required for all 3 of these subjects: language arts, science, and social studies. With a literature-based curriculum, it is essential that the students have the reading and writing ability to complete the work. When students have mixed results, we will place on the writing ability first. It is common to have an advanced reader, but an advanced writer is rare. If the writing is too difficult for the student, they will be unable to complete the work comfortably. Math placement is based on a questionnaire. If you answer no to any of the questions at a given level, that will be the student's placement. Each day with our curriculum will look similar regardless of the age level. Generally, there is 30 minutes of reading, followed by comprehension or critical thinking questions. Then each lesson will include 3 to 5 activities. The activities are different from day to day. This will appeal to different types of learners and will reinforce the material being learned. Activities could be anything from a more traditional grammar worksheet to cooking a recipe, making a diorama, or creating a photography project. Moving beyond the page grows with your child. As you progress through the levels of the curriculum, the workload and level of student independence increases incrementally. Our curriculum uses age ranges for a few reasons. 1, children don't develop in a straight line, and abilities can be even more variable at the youngest ages. 2, gifted students will fall at the bottom of the age range, while your average student will fall in the middle or top. 3, you can use one curriculum with 2 students at the same time. We will discuss this a little further later on. Again, each day you can expect about 30 minutes of reading, and each lesson takes 1 hour to complete. As you can see, the curriculum transitions from being parent-led to being student-led. The amount of work also increases incrementally across the age levels. The age 4 to 5 level has 1 lesson that combines language arts, science, social studies, and math. With 30 minutes of reading, this level takes about 1.5 hours a day to complete. The age 5 to 7 and 6 to 8, which are aligned with first and second grade standards, have 1 lesson that combines language arts, science, and social studies, and 1 lesson of math. With the reading, this is about 2.5 hours a day. In the ages 7 to 9 through 10 through 12, which are aligned with 3rd through 6th grades, there is 1 lesson a day in language arts, 1 lesson a day in science or social studies, and 1 lesson a day in math. Every day there is a language arts lesson, and then you switch back and forth between science and social studies every 3 weeks. This way, you are still able to get monthly samples in each subject. During this age range, we also transition students to working more independently. In the age 7 to 9 and 8 to 10, the lessons are directed towards the parent and student together. The curriculum is student-directed from age 9 to 11 on, with parent information provided in the back of the curriculum books. The age 11 to 13 and 12 to 14 levels, which are 7th and 8th grade, were created together as a high school preparatory program. At these levels, you will have 1 lesson a day in all 4 subjects. The social studies for the age 11 to 13 covers world history, while the age 12 to 14 covers U.S. history. In science, the age 11 to 13 covers environmental science and physics, while the age 12 to 14 covers chemistry and biology. At these levels, math would be found separately. This is an example of 1 year's worth of curriculum. When you receive a big box full of materials, it can be challenging to know where to begin. The Getting Started page on our website contains schedules to follow, video overviews of the curriculum, review sheets, and shopping lists. There are several options offered for scheduling your year. For those needing more detailed documentation, the Getting Started page also has a summary of skills or national standards for each unit in the curriculum. By the summer of 2022, we will have an online system that will allow parents and teachers to record the skills covered by lesson in an electronic portfolio. Students can also upload papers, videos, and pictures of their work. The program is just starting to become available on our website with a flexible scheduling program. Now I'm going to walk you through one day's lesson in language arts so you can see what to expect and how to plan your day. We're going to look at a lesson in our age 8 to 10 or 4th grade level. Each unit is 3 weeks long. This unit for Little House has 11 daily lessons and a 2-day final project. If you're doing the math, this means 13 days worth of lessons, so you have 2 days of buffer in your 3-week schedule. These extra days can be used for papers or projects that run long, field trips, or simply a day off. In the front of each unit book, or on our Getting Started page, you will find a materials list. These are the required materials for the age 8 to 10 Little House in the Big Woods Language Arts unit and the corresponding science unit called Dirt and Plants. Kit means that an item is provided in the supplied kit. Items with an asterisk are optional. We recommend going through this list and making sure that materials are available before you start each 3-week unit. Then each day is a simple task to get started. Many parents put everything in a box so that it would be handy, once every 3 weeks. This is an age 8 to 10 level book, but you will find that all of our lessons have a similar structure. Big ideas are questions related to the concept and ideas in each unit. These are not questions that you necessarily need to ask your child each morning, but they are conceptual understandings that your child will gain through the lesson. The lesson will help your child to explore and answer these big questions so that their understanding of the concept is reinforced. Facts and definitions outline the knowledge and vocabulary that your child will learn or memorize in the curriculum. It is not necessary to memorize every definition word for word, but your child should be exposed to the vocabulary in the lesson and in other situations. These can also be found on the unit review sheet in the front of the book or on the Getting Started page. Moving beyond the page is based on state and national standards. The standards covered in each lesson are listed in the skills section. These are listed based on the subject being covered. Since this is a literature unit, the standards in this lesson are all targeted towards the language arts standards. After the skills section, the required materials are listed. This list shows the student activity pages that are needed, as well as the general materials. Since you already gathered these materials before starting this unit, your journal and scissors would be readily available. The introduction is where the actual instruction begins. All you need to do is go through the curriculum and complete each of the activities with your child. For the reading and questions, we lay out the reading schedule for each day. You don't have to read the entire book all at once. For this lesson, your child will read the first chapter called Little House in the Big Woods. Children can write the answers in a separate journal, or they can use the pages that we provide. Some of the questions will be reading comprehension questions, but others are designed to help your child think critically about the text, determine a character's motive, or think of alternative solutions. Our goal is for children to become as strong readers and critical thinkers, and these should be able to be done independently. Activities are the primary component of the Moving Beyond the Page lessons. Most lessons include 2 to 3 activities for your child to engage in. Some activities include activity pages from the student activity book, while others involve hands-on learning experiences, such as creating posters, conducting science experiments, using math manipulatives, or acting something out. No 2 days look alike. The first activity for this day's lesson involves starting a chart, comparing life today with life in the big woods. Students will add to this chart every time they complete a new chapter in the book. This information is then used to craft a letter to future generations about what life is like today. There is a sample letter from Laura Ingalls Wilder supplied. Activity 2 involves reviewing some vocabulary words that will be used in the book. This will prepare them for unfamiliar words to come. Students will make flashcards with definitions and sentences for the words. Then they will use what they have learned to fill in the blanks in an unrelated story. The third and final activity for the day in language arts asks the student to discuss how pioneers found almost everything they needed in nature. You will notice that there are answers provided within the lesson. This is because our age 7 to 9 and 8 to 10 levels are where we are transitioning kids to more independence. Ideally, the parent or teacher would be present when the child reads. Then they would review these activities to be completed and hand over the book to the student. The student would then only be working through the worksheets. You will also notice that this activity has two options. These are called differentiated activities, and they let you tailor your child's experience to either their academic ability or their personal interest. These are offered frequently in all levels of the curriculum. Option 2 is usually more difficult or involved. When an activity has two options, simply review the activity and decide which one your child should do. Depending on the activity, you may discuss this with your child first and see which one they would prefer to complete. These options also allow you to level the program for two different students. The only part of our program that is outside of the lesson plan is the spelling. Our spelling program is online through our Learning Gate system. Let's talk about how it works. You will set aside 30 minutes per week total for spelling. During that time, your child will take an online spelling quiz, and you will receive an email with the words and spelling rules that your child needs to review. There will also be a suggested study plan. It generally suggests that day 1 is the quiz. On day 2, you review the spelling rules that were missed, and these are detailed in the review list. On day 3, the child should write each missed word 5 times, and on day 4, the student will write a sentence with the missed words. Then your child should be ready for the next week's quiz. Words that are missed will continue to come up on later quizzes. That way, we don't waste time on words that your child already knows how to spell. Then we will review and reinforce the words that your child misses all year long in an adaptive online quiz. The goal is that at the end of the year, your child will know how to spell every single word on the spelling list, and not just the handful of words from the most recent test. And spending less time on spelling means that you can spend more time on other aspects of writing, like word choice, interesting ideas, sentence fluency, and voice. Spelling is important, but it is just one of many aspects of effective writing. Again, the spelling program is completed through our online Learning Gates quiz tool. Moving Beyond the Page has always covered science, social studies, and language arts, and now we have math. It is like no other math program you have seen, but exactly what you would expect from Moving Beyond the Page. As you can see, our age 10 to 12 level math is due to come out this summer, and age 11 to 13 in the summer of 2023. We have decided to place all of the requirements for 6th through 8th grades within these two levels, so that students are ready to start algebra in 8th grade. Like the rest of Moving Beyond the Page, we have a strong focus on understanding and not just computing math. It is one thing to be able to line up numbers and complete a computation. It is quite another to be able to work with numbers in your head and come up with different ways to solve problems. To accomplish this, we use hands-on manipulatives, literature, and projects. Our math curriculum includes great literature to help students grasp the ideas in a fun and imaginative way. In addition to hands-on activities, we have projects that enable children to take their learning and see how it applies in the real world. This is a project from our age 6 to 8 math program, where the student will create a photo journal to teach others what they know about numbers. We want kids to understand how to use and model with numbers in the real world. If you have used Moving Beyond the Page in the past, you will be familiar with our use of projects, but we haven't seen anything like this in other math curriculum. Our math review is effective because it reinforces the concepts that children struggle with most. Each daily quiz will take just a few minutes at the end of the lesson. They will include new questions based on what was learned that day, as well as review questions that have been missed in the past. You will receive a summary email that lets you know how your child performed and which areas they need to work on. Daily math quizzes are completed using our online Learning Gates quiz system. To sum up, Moving Beyond the Page is a comprehensive, literature-based homeschool curriculum that integrates language arts, science, social studies, and math for children in kindergarten through middle school. The curriculum helps children grow in their love of learning by encouraging critical and creative thinking, providing challenging and engaging projects, and supporting different learning styles. Moving Beyond the Page takes a hands-on approach to learning that encourages children to move beyond textbooks and worksheets and apply learning to their world. Please feel free to reach out to us with any further questions. We are a small, family-run company, and our customer service is staffed by 2 experienced homeschooling parents. Each of us have used this curriculum for at least 6 years with our own children and are happy to help in any way we can. Thank you.